Good morning. It's Wednesday morning. It's 9 o'clock, and this is Norma on a channel talking to you today about changes that happen and the effect they can have on you and how to handle them and what they're about. Maybe because we've just had a time change and everything seems weird, and my top here won't sit where I want it to go. So there we go. We're just trying to figure out how to make that work. But that's life. When does life go smoothly and easily all the time? Usually it has some form of obstacle, change, people that are involved in your life going through changes. Everything goes on at some point or other. And the thing is, changes have an effect on you. They can be emotional, they can be mental, they can even be physical. But most of us dealing with change, dealing with it in a mental and or emotional way. So being aware of your responses is an important point because you're the hub of your life. You're the center of it. When you're a child, that's not true. But as an adult, it is. You're the one that's making the choices. You're the one that's making decisions. Excuse me, I've got a little bit of a cold and I'm been coughing quite a bit. So if I'm coughing, I'm trying to work that away with water. And I just felt today would be a good opportunity to take a look at how we handle those things so that we're staying on top of whatever is happening. The situations or visualizing them through or whatever it is we have to do to create change. One of the tarot symbols, and interestingly, it came up on our Monday night mental mind treatment the last couple of weeks, is the Wheel of Fortune. Now, the Wheel of Fortune, which I shall show it to you, is a wheel inside a wheel. But the interesting thing here is around it, there are 4 fixed signs from the zodiac, and each one of them has books. And that is because whatever is happening is a learning experience. It's number 10 in our hierarchy of 22. But 10 is really a 1, also a 1. It's another aspect of the beginnings and new things happening and new things going on. So how much are we learning when something happens that's a little different or a little bit more not like what we're used to? Mostly best thing we can do is to move ahead, slow and sure, being aware of the outcome that we want to have. Again, so we have a goal in sight and the direction of where we're heading. Because we always want to be what we call in metaphysical terms in balance, not overusing our energy, which is another thing that sometimes we see in the mental mind treatments. It's funny, I've got mental mind treatments all here in front of me, is that people don't always rest enough or give themselves time to recuperate or to be whatever. So when it's like a healer, when a lot of people do hands-on healing, or people like myself who do more psychological healing and psychic awareness healing, is that you've still got to make sure that your energy is balanced and you're not giving everything away, and so there's nothing for you, and so how you're feeling or where you're at, what you're doing. So it all comes back to this symbol. Being in the center of your own being in the center of the direction of where you're going and what you're doing. Change is happening. You pick up the phone to talk to somebody, and all of a sudden they're telling you, somebody's hurt themselves, somebody's in hospital, somebody's dying or has died. And you have to readjust inside. You've got to make sometimes loads of decisions right on the spot about things. You've got to figure out what you're going to do. But later on, there's a sense of where does that fit in relation to your world? If somebody dies, are they close? Are they far away? Do you have to travel to go there to pay your respects? Or is just a telephone going to be enough? Do you have to go on Facebook or something similar? Like there's all sorts of things that are going on at any time an event occurs. So an event just really is something that triggers a response. And what is the response going to be? Are you going to go, like, is it going to take a lot of time? Is it going to take a lot of energy? Is it going to affect you emotionally, mentally? Is it going to be physically, like having to go somewhere, having to do things? Sometimes, because I live far away from my original family, I can't do anything except in my heart feel or know, which is just what's happened recently when one of my niece's husband passed away. But now, because of technology, I can get to watch a funeral service via the net. And that has brought me in some ways a lot closer than just sitting here thinking, oh, how things are going, because now you often get to see part of the family that I don't see anymore and things like that. So that's kind of, in a way, it's pleasurable for me to be able to do that. But it's also ties up endings much more effectively. And that's where the technology really makes a big, big difference to somebody like myself, who is not even in the, you might say, able to, best way of saying that, I guess, is saying not even able to get on an airplane and go there and to where, but my mother and father are gone, my sisters are gone, and there's my brother and myself. So we're getting way up there now. So it's interesting timetable on that one too, because my brother hasn't been very well, but miracle upon miracle is still alive and still hanging in there, which is excellent from my perspective. So how do we handle things that happen? You go to work and all of a sudden, maybe you're in a job where all of a sudden they advise you, well, you're after 2 weeks time, they're not going to need you. What do you do then? How do you handle that? How do you recalibrate your life? A lot of people at that point move to other areas. They'll leave and go somewhere else where they can work. And I almost sense, and I'm not sure how true that is, but it feels like we're coming into one of those period times in our world where it's not as secure or as steady as it has been. It's not as regulated. Well, there's lots of things going on right now, which is having an effect, and people are panicking a little bit. So it's like, I just had another symbol here that I pulled out this morning because I pulled 3 out. And that was, hang on, got to get in the right place. That is the Knight of Cups. It's an attitude card, and attitudes is that, an attitude. How you respond, how you react, what you do. This particular symbol is my favorite of all the knights because he's on a horse that's traveling slowly and surely in the direction of where he's going. Some of the symbolism there is all going in the same direction as a cup. He also holds a cup, which is emotion. But the wings on top of his helmet and on his feet are all still going in the same direction. A little bit of a hill coming up, which means that there may be some stuff coming up to deal with. But it's also about slow and sure and getting you there. And that's like what it is often in just dealing with life. The reactions of where you want to go. What are your goals? It's funny, in the last couple of weeks, I've been re-looking and rethinking of, my goals I made in the beginning of the year. How are they working? Am I working towards those, or are they just sort of stagnant while I'm taking care of other things? It's like we reevaluate so often in so many different ways and so many different places. as we're moving forward in the direction of where we want to go and what we want to do. I also pulled a third symbol because when I'm doing a little reading for myself, and this really was just kind of, well, what am I going to be talking about this morning, is the star. Now, interesting, this number is a number 17. And again, I go back to Monday night's mental mind treatment. So many people will say number 17. They don't know what I'm relating them to. Not everybody does anyway, but I relate them to the higher arcana because I ask people for 3 numbers. Whatever it is they want a prayer for or mental mind treatment for, whatever is going on, what part of the life, and 3 numbers between 1 and 22. And very often this comes out. And that is because actually everything, the 2 numbers, the 10 and this 1, this is about balancing your energy. This is about you working mainly with yourself. You're important. You got to look after yourself. You got to take care. You've got to be sure that you're in balance and that you're not, what's the word I'm looking for? Giving all your energy away. Some people are givers and they give and they give and they give and they give. And then one day they get sick and they don't know why, because there's been no balance. In this particular symbol, and I'll just show it to you again, see how the maiden here is kneeling on the earth and she's got this major one. I always get back to front on these things. The major one is pouring into this pool here. And then the other cup is showing a dribble onto the earth, of which one part is going back. And that's the energy that you give out to others. If you're a healer, hands-on healing, reflexology, body work of some kind, massage, being, even a chiropractor, someone who's working with the body or anything like that, because this isn't mental work, this is energy work. So it's like when in life you get something and you're giving and giving and giving and giving, that is not going to work as well because you have to replenish the self. The soul needs replenishment. The soul needs to know that it's loved, that it is supplied. And that's why in this particular picture, there's the one pouring the water in the pool that she's got her foot on, because that's her stability. That's where she's coming from. That is where she's going forward. And then she gives out just a tiny bit out into the ground, which is the people, the world, and a little bit will come back to her. So you share, but you don't share it all. And yet I find so often people feel that they have to give, which I have nothing against that. But not everything where you're not left with any resources or anything else, not to the point that you're exhausted, not to the point where you're not taking care of you. I've been in that position. I really have. So I learned that I had to look after me. There were times when I was working really hard psychically, and I would then take a little break, and I would go on maybe even 2 weeks and just do nothing, go and sit by a beach somewhere and breathe in the ozone and just relax before I came back. And then I'd just come back a little not so hard. So it's like balance. And that particular symbol, I'll just show it to you again, is really about balancing, being balanced emotionally, mentally, spiritually, in the awareness that we're all part of the cosmos, we're all part of all that there is, but also needing to do that. And because it seems today where I'm kind of using props, I'm just going to have a little sip of water. At least I'm not coughing. I had to get up and have cough medicine last night. And I was hoping I wasn't going to be coughing during this, so I'm not. My little insight cards here, I have to get those really close. And I went, okay, just wanted a couple of things to experience it. And this one says, I have to read it. I am a child of God and I deserve love, prosperity, and serenity. You deserve it. But deserving, we can deserve it, but we may not accept it. Maybe we have rules of how it's supposed to show up or what it's supposed to look like. And it's really very, 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 very much dependent on being able to see things, I think, in a fuller way. Like, I am a child of God. What does that really mean? It means that we are all connected to that love spirit of Earth, that's part of Earth, that's here. So we call God different names. If you're having a different country with a different language, it's going to be a different name again. If you prefer Jesus, if you prefer Allah, if you prefer, like me, because I call it the love source, because to me, when I ran into the energy and embraced that energy, that's what it was. So to call it something else wasn't really working. So I am a child of, and you can name it, the universe. I am a child of God. I'm a child of the love source. And I deserve love. Now, the thing is here, you deserve the love, but are you allowing it in? Are you allowing it to come in? I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. The first time I ran into it, I was taking a 9-month course, one weekend a month, many years ago. And there was a group of us, I think we started at about 7 or 8 of us, and we ended up with about 5 completing it. But the three of us were very close, we were friends. And one of the friends had an experience, we're about 3 months in, I guess, had this experience of touching into this, what he said, Jesus energy. I cried on the way home, driving my friend and I back home because she was staying with us, because I wanted to experience that. So we go back the next month and I experience it, but I feel it up here. And in my mind, I knew I had to bring that down in here. So it was like my friend the week before had that experience. He said when he kind of went out of his body and he was up there with this energy. Anyway, I felt this love energy, just love energy, and I brought it inside, and I knew that's where it belonged. And so I have worked with that ever since. And it is there. And I get in my head a lot and I have to come back down into the heart and where it resides, so I can exhibit that as well. So, and I deserve love. Yes, you deserve that love. Whatever you call it. And it's not it's not the same as when you love a person or they love you. That's an aspect, but it's not the same as that heavenly love, that all assuming, that love that just loves you for you, what's and all, you people say, right? And then it says prosperity, because when you have that love, there is that feeling of being able to be creative and create what you need, and it'll be there, it'll be given. And serenity, because you do it in a sincere, quiet way. I also pulled another one out, which I'm just going to touch on a couple of ways on both. There's always 2 sides to this. By the way, what was on the other side of that one? Oh, yeah. My mind is a biocomputer, garbage in, garbage out. Love, truth, and beauty in, and love, truth, and beauty out. And that is the decisions we make about what we're looking at and willing to incorporate within ourselves or not. But this one was, and I smiled at this because I did so much over the years work with people's children, what I call the inner children. It's never too late to have a happy childhood. And I did so much work around that for people. And then your inner child wants to come out to play. And that's the thing. I used to do some crazy things sometimes because my inner child did come out to play. Not so much these days, but I have experience with that. And I trust and hope you do too, because you are inside still that child encased in this body that gets older every year. But it's like you can have a lot of fun if you get that sense of humor about life and how things work. So we're going to just kind of wanting to recap a little bit here, giving thanks that I'm not coughing. I want you to remember this. You need to be like the hub of the wheel while life goes around. And as life goes around, it'll have many different faces on it. It also has learning, and the four corners of this is learning. For again, the fixed size. One is an angel with a book. One is the eagle, I guess, with the book. One was with an oxen, and they've all got wings, and a lion. So there's all parts, but these three aspects of ourselves on here, as this can move. Actually, when I read sometimes with that's almost spinning, where that's not quite what we want to be doing, because then it's too fast and we don't have time to really settle it down and become more like this, moving ahead slowly, surely, and working through it bit by bit, whatever it may be, till you come to the point of having your strength, your belief, your connection to the larger source, all in a balanced manner, where you give out, but you keep most of it in hand, that you keep yourself solid within yourself, because it's very easy to give. And I'm not saying you don't give away, because you do, but you don't give everything. You don't work yourself to the bone, is what often people had to do way back in the Middle Ages. When you worked for somebody, that's all you did. You worked and worked and worked, and you were lucky, you had a little bit of a meal or something. That was it. But not today. Today is very different, because you're in control. You're in control of you. You're in the awareness of you, where our a sense of being, of the direction of where we're heading and where we're going. So when you have changes, that whether they affect you emotionally, mentally, maybe physically, but I wasn't really talking about that part, just be aware of your responses. Be aware where maybe you're a little stuck, or where you want it to be. I get that I want it this way. I'm a bit stubborn. So we want it this way, but it's not this way, it's that way. And you somehow have to meet in the middle of how they all come together. But it's like always being able to handle and ensure that you're staying on top of what's going on, because life changes all the time. You get a phone call or a text or an email, and there's something in there that changes things, and you have to adapt. And we have more of that pressure now than probably ever before, because it is a pressure, having to adapt, having to assimilate information quickly, having to make decisions quickly. Do I do this? Do I do that? Where's my role here? What do I do? How do I fit it? And the thing is to remember that if you can be centered and understand and check with yourself, you may want to do something, but is it something that you can do? When an example of this, because I think examples often best than just talking. When my brother got really, really sick a few months back, we didn't know that if he was going to survive it. He did. He has. He's a miracle. He's done this several times. The miracle man. So my son came to me and said, "Do you want to go down?" Well, that sounded really nice, didn't it? But I had to take a breath, and I said, I can't go. I'm not well enough to travel all the distance. I'm not well enough to be able to be there and be supportive. I can't go. Not right now. Maybe next year that might work, but not now. And so it's like having to make those decisions that you don't really want to, but know that you have to, because you are still an energy being, and you are number one for you to look after you. Because I know if I'd gone down there, it wouldn't be nice for them, because I wasn't walking very well. I was, it wouldn't have been good for anybody. But bless my son's heart, because he said, if you want to go down, because you will get your ticket and you can go. And I mean, no, it would be lovely. Yes, I would love to, but no, isn't going to happen. I'm not ready for that at all. So it's, yeah. So it's like being aware of is, and it comes back down to this: what are your needs? What do you need to do? What do you need to be? Because in our heart, very often we want to do something. We want to help. We want to do what we want to do. And yet the reason is, especially I think as you get older, you can't always do it. Sometimes even younger, I know sometimes we didn't have the money, or we didn't have time, because when we were raising kids, we had bills like everybody else, and we had to be there working and looking after them for all. And then as they got older and older, things that they love to do, all their sports and things like that, we have to sort of put things in balance perspective. And until you learn balance inside as well as outside, I think, and be able, and I want to add on to that, and be able to take the changes slowly and surely, just like our dear Knight of Cups. Then, because if you're going to be like the Knight of Swords, you're going to have problems, that's for sure. So it's like knowing that you can move forward gently and easily, but stay in touch with who you are. Because remember the little card: I am a child of God, and I deserve love, prosperity, and serenity. You do. And on that, I'm going to end. And as I end, I'm going to say, morning to Karen Barney, Yvonne Olson. And I thank you so much for your comments and being here live and giving me the thumbs up. Love that for sure. And I will be back on Sunday morning with my little Sunday thought. Okay, blessings. Have a great day. Enjoy every aspect of it. Bye now.